So, the PlayStation 5 Pro has just been officially announced. Let's dive into it. Sony released a 9-minute video with Mark Cerny, the PS5's lead system architect, explaining the tech behind this upgraded console. There's more beyond that video, like potential price concerns, which we'll cover, but first, let's break down the new features. Cerny highlighted how PS5 users typically choose between performance or fidelity modes. For the less tech-savvy, he clarified that when given a choice between higher visual quality or smoother gameplay, around 75% of players opt for performance mode. This feedback drove the creation of the PS5 Pro to minimize compromises. The Pro promises games with the visual fidelity of fidelity mode, but running at the smoother frame rates typical of performance mode. He showcased games like The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man 2, and Ratchet & Clank to demonstrate this. As someone who usually picks performance mode, this pitch makes sense. It speaks directly to gamers like me. But what exactly has changed under the hood with the PS5 Pro compared to the base model? Cerny boiled it down to 3 key upgrades: AI-driven upscaling, improved ray tracing, and a bigger GPU. The Pro's GPU is 67% larger, with 28% faster RAM. These changes offer up to 45% faster rendering speeds. Ray tracing has supposedly doubled or even tripled in speed, which should translate to more realistic lighting. There's also custom hardware for AI-driven upscaling, similar to AMD's FSR or NVIDIA's DLSS. PlayStation's take on this tech is called PSSR, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It's basically tech speak for adding pixels to low-res games, making them look higher res. Game developers are already updating existing titles and new ones to support the PS5 Pro, with upgrades like ray tracing, a larger GPU, and PSSR. These enhancements promise the detail levels of fidelity mode, but at double the frame rate. Before we get into the full list of enhanced games, let me know in the comments. Is this what you've been waiting for from PlayStation? Do you think this kind of upgrade is worth $700? Or are you happy with your current setup? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to drop a comment and don't forget to hit that like button while you're at it. It helps out the channel. Now back to the games. From Sony's blog, here's a list of games with expected enhancements: Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed, Demon's Souls, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, and more. Will this matter to visual purists, those who care about pixels and frame rates? Probably. But for the average consumer, it's unclear. From the demo video, the visual differences are subtle and may only excite tech nerds, not the average player. Design-wise, it's also a shift. It follows the look of the PS5 Slim models, featuring sleeker lines, a glossy finish, and a noticeable 3-line gap in the middle of the shell. Now, beyond just the technical details and the excitement for the high-end gamer, there's a broader conversation happening around the timing and relevance of this release. The PS5 Pro, while a powerhouse, enters a landscape where the gaming world is already divided between console loyalists, PC enthusiasts, and even cloud gaming advocates. Is this a move designed to keep Sony ahead of the curve in the console space? Or is it a way to recapture a segment of players who might be looking elsewhere? It's important to consider the market Sony is targeting here. Hardcore gamers will likely jump at the chance to get their hands on the latest tech. But for the average player, the question remains: is this worth upgrading, especially at such a steep price point? With more than a few consumers still struggling to get their hands on a regular PS5, releasing a higher-tier model might seem like a strange decision to some. But maybe this is part of Sony's broader strategy. By creating a premium tier, they could be positioning the PS5 Pro not just as a console, but as an elite experience for the dedicated gamer. One that promises longevity and future-proofing, even as games continue to push the hardware envelope. Speaking of longevity, we've seen PlayStation consoles last a solid 7 to 8 years on average before the next generation comes out. With the PS5 already 4 years old, is the Pro version a step toward extending the life cycle of this generation? If so, that might mean we won't see a PlayStation 6 anytime soon. Sony might instead focus on squeezing more performance and innovation out of the PS5 ecosystem over the next few years, with the Pro being just the first step. In addition to this, let's think about the future of games. The games coming down the pipeline will likely be designed with the PS5 Pro in mind. Even if they work on the base model, developers will undoubtedly take advantage of the Pro's capabilities. This raises an important question. Will base PS5 owners start feeling left behind? Just as we saw with the PS4 Pro and its gradual divergence from the standard PS4, there's a possibility that over time, games optimized for the Pro could perform noticeably worse on the regular PS5, or at least not showcase the same level of detail and smoothness. For anyone on the fence about upgrading, this could push them over the edge. Interestingly, Sony didn't mention it in the video, but the PS5 Pro will support Wi-Fi 7 and come standard with a 2TB SSD. However, there's no disk drive. It's an all-digital console. If you want a disk drive, it's sold separately, and it's the same drive already available for newer PS5 models. Even the vertical stand is sold separately. Now, let's talk about the price. $700 in the US and equally hefty prices globally. It's expensive, especially since the base PS5 still sells for $500. So, if you have physical games, you're looking at $700 minimum plus the cost of the disk drive. A big ask for many. Consoles haven't gotten cheaper over time, unlike in previous generations. A PS5 is still $500 today, for years after launch. So, you're adding $200 for the Pro plus extra for accessories. It's a high price tag for incremental upgrades. We could make a whole separate video discussing this price point, and probably will. For some, it may be time to switch to PC, where prices for components might make more sense. For others, this is a hard pill to swallow, especially with limited new game reveals to showcase the PS5 Pro's potential. A bigger showcase, maybe even a major game announcement, could have helped. Compared to the PS4 Pro launch, this feels different. The PS4 Pro was needed, as the original PS4 and Xbox One were already lagging behind PCs. The PS5, though, was strong when it launched, and 4 years later, it still holds up well, especially compared to mid-range PCs. This upgrade feels less necessary. PS4 prices had dropped by the time the PS4 Pro launched, softening the impact. That's not the case now, and many people have only recently gotten a PS5. So, does the PS5 Pro feel necessary yet? A lot of people are saying they're happy with their regular PS5 for now. From a business perspective, this is for the power user, the hardcore gamer who's less concerned about price and more focused on performance. It's about squeezing more profit from those already invested in PlayStation, rather than growing the user base. This announcement just feels scattered, but we'll get our hands on the PS5 Pro soon and let you know if it's really worth the upgrade. The PS5 Pro launches on November 7th, 2024, just in time for the holiday rush. Let's hope scalpers don't ruin it. Pre-orders start on September 26th, 2024, so if you want one, get ready. A lot of opinions are already floating around online, and we'll see if they translate to actual sales. For now, let us know in the comments. Is this the upgrade you've been waiting for? Are you ready to drop $700 on it? Or are you sticking with your current PS5? Maybe you're considering a switch to PC? We're curious to hear your thoughts. And hey, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps us out. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.